as far as the competitive athlete part, I started surfing in high school, where I quickly learned. I beat the US champ, but I didn't realize that was a big deal at the time, which is really strange, which is what I'll talk about later, is that we need coaches to tell us when we're doing well.
Wait, Ken, then you were a surfing, like a national champion? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Educative Sessions. My name is Lee Ngol. I am the community manager here with Educative. Educative makes it easy for authors to provide interactive and adaptive courses for software developers. And Educative Sessions is a multi-episodic campaign to engage with developers throughout the world about their coding experiences. My guest today is Kenlyn Terai, who is an engineer with Slalom Build. And today we're going to talk about daring to create my own future in tech. Kenlyn, welcome to the show.
Right, thanks, Lee. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. All right, Kenlyn, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's start with your life before you leaped into the world of tech. And according to our conversations, you've had quite a diverse career, or quite a diverse life, I should say, including being a competitive athlete. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Wow. Let's set us up and tell us a little bit more about your background before.
Okay. Well, so prior to engineering, I guess I'd call myself really a lifelong learner. Like, long story short, any success I've had has been from learning and the mindsets I've adopted. Like, I've thought that anything is possible if I set my mind to it. It's like I've been fascinated with how things work. I like creative work. I want to help others, and also just in general, just a pursuit of mastery, trying to become the best I could be at what I'm doing. So as far as the competitive athlete part, I started surfing in high school, where I quickly learned. I beat the US champ, but I didn't realize that was a big deal at the time, which was really strange, which is what I'll talk about later, is that we need coaches to tell us when we're doing well.
Wait, Ken, then you were a surfing, like a national champion? Is that what you're saying?
I did beat her in not at nationals, but outside of it. But I did go to nationals. Yeah, I was. There's a couple of different divisions, but that I competed in, but I also got 5th in college. So I also spent some time in running and swimming and stuff. But through that experience, I just realized more that really how I think about problems or think about my approach is even more important than how like the technical. Because I guess fast forward after that, I was helping coach cross country at my local high school, and I learned so much from the runners, because like you've got your freshman talent that just blows everybody away and just they hardly train. Got consistent workers, hard workers who deliver consistent results. The less consistent star, who's up and down just depending on what their mindset was of the day, or if they were stressed out about a girlfriend. And then we had somebody that was just worked really, really hard, combined both the hard work and the talent, and then she ended up at state. So anyway, so that I think that in competitive like sports just really taught me a lot about what is the practice that I want to take, or my approach to practice.
Right.
But yeah, it's harder to figure out though, like what is it I want to do with the rest of my life. So that took a little bit of a journey and brought me to engineering.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it seems like such a paradigm shift to go from like competitive athletics to engineering. And yet I can presume that much of what you've gained from all those years of not just being in athletics, but being very successful at them can transfer very well over into this new domain. Yet, in our conversations before this talk, you talked about some of the setbacks that you might have experienced in your journey into engineering. So what were some of those setbacks, and how did they hold you back in your own path to getting there?
I think like shoulds really got in the way of thinking of, like I was in, like I mentioned, I was into the creative, as I did some art and like design, and here's what I'd heard from others, like, oh, you can't do anything with that. Like you should go get a real job or something like that. And that's before I knew the like graphic design and all those things existed, because I was focused on the science. I really like learning how things work, so I loved that. So another thing is this lack of self-awareness of the like uniqueness of my strengths. Like when somebody tells you that you're good at something, that it's like maybe dig into that a little deeper, rather than like, oh, somebody else, like I kind of downplayed those strengths and thought, oh, maybe somebody else could do that probably the same as me or better, or not recognizing it. So that would be, I think self-awareness is not having that enough is a setback.
You experience a lot of people who actually, when you decided to go into engineering, that were more of a naysayer community than people who were positively reinforcing you?
On engineering, I'd say I've been really fortunate that to be surrounded by people that have been in a learning culture. Yeah. So yeah, things like Educative, where I went to Flatiron School. I mean, there's just finding that community is really important. But I think also just at the very start, if you having not been an engineer at all before, just being able to persist and tell myself that this is possible, and also just keep asking the questions, like how do I, like in solving any problem, like finding out what is that next step that I need to take to progress to the next thing.
Right. So it sounds like, I mean, you dabbled in so many different things. You were interested in art, you were interested in design, and then landing into engineering. Do you find, looking back to all of the different things you've tried, including, being a competitive athlete, what kinds of logics and practices have become the most relevant to your current practices as an engineer?
I'd say, like going to, like what got me here was just finding those flow moments. Flow moments is when you're really engaged in an activity. So I think when I was winning heats, it was when I was in the most state of flow, like where I'd been practicing consistently and just made it so it's like a second nature, and not talking myself out, like stressing myself out or saying, oh, I should have done this or should have done that. I think shoulds is the worst. Just saying, okay, next time I'm going to do this, or just being able to center and keep at a problem, even if I don't know what it is, like the solution is yet, just having confidence and trust in myself that I'm going to find that solution, even if it's not apparent at the moment. Right. So.
Right. And it sounds like, from what I've heard, a lot of patterns I've heard from a lot of other coders as well, is that persistence is key. Accepting failure is key. And it sounds like these are the things that, as an athlete, like if you think you're going to win every single time, or you think you're going to get it right, then you've already probably failed, or you're setting yourself up for a lot of failure. And that, I think, helps a lot, right? So, fast forward to the present. You are now an engineer, right? How did you know that this was like it for you? And how do you know that this is the most comfortable vocation or place for you to express yourself intellectually and professionally?
I'd say that just it provides a really good balance of what I enjoy, like with creativity, design, like problem solving, learning, and then helping others. You can make a prototype much more quickly. Like I used to work in medical devices for a short time as well. Another conversation that just took way too long to get anything new made. So I loved that you can just create something new quickly that could change a small part of the world, if not the entire world. Just make changes in a short time. Also has some flexibility, and there's a lot of upward growth in it. It's one of the most stable industries to be in at the moment. So it's a great place to be, both for learning and creativity and growth in long term.
Got it. Cool. Believe it or not, Kenlyn, I'm out of questions, and we are actually at the end of our interview. So I'd like to throw it back to you and offer you an opportunity for a shameless plug. And you can talk about whatever you like. You can talk about your work at your company or anything else you're going. The floor is entirely yours.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll throw a plug out for Slalom. I think that one of the things I was looking for at a company is a great culture of coaching and learning. And I think that they really do a great job of that. And so I guess that would be a shameless plug for them.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share?
Just one last thing. I'd say that if there's anything that anything really is possible with persistence, I'd say to anybody listening, just go for your dreams.
That's I think it's a wonderful sentiment though. And I think for a lot of people who really just want to go for it, most of the reasons why people don't is because of themselves and that voice in their head that's telling them not to. And I am so impressed and glad that you did. And it sounds like all the things that you've accomplished and I take a lot of pride in now have come with that first leap of faith that you made. So good for you. Yeah. Kenlyn, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And I really appreciate you sharing your story, and it's quite impressive and inspiring, honestly. I mean, there's so many things that I would not otherwise have known about you if we hadn't had this conversation. And I want to thank everyone else out there who is watching or listening to this talk as well. Please check out more of our talks on YouTube and on our podcast, which is distributed out to pretty much every platform out there. And lastly, if you want to learn a little bit more about Educative, you can check us out at educative.io. So for all of us here at Educative, thank you so much and happy learning.
Thanks so much for watching our session. Be sure to watch more sessions below and subscribe to our channel to get the latest stories. Also follow us on social media and check us out at educative.io. Happy learning.